Knowledge Graph Builder app, creating knowledge graphs from unstructured data. LLM-graph-builder overview. This application is designed to turn unstructured data, PDFs, TXT, YouTube video, web pages, etc., into a knowledge graph stored in Neo4j. It utilizes the power of large language models, OpenAI, Gemini, etc., to extract nodes, relationships, and their properties from the text and create a structured knowledge graph using LangChain framework. Upload your files from local machine, GCS or S3 bucket, or from web sources. Choose your LLM model and generate knowledge graph. Key features: knowledge graph creation, transform unstructured data into structured knowledge graphs using LLMs. Providing schema, provide your own custom schema or use existing schema in settings to generate graph. View graph for a particular source or multiple sources at a time in Bloom. Chat with data, interact with your data in a neo4j database through conversational queries. Also retrieve metadata about the source of response to your queries. Getting started. You will need to have a neo4j database v5.15 or later with APOC installed to use this knowledge graph builder. You can use any neo4j Aura database, including the free database. If you are using neo4j desktop, you will not be able to use the Docker Compose, but will have to follow the separate deployment of backend and frontend section. Deployment, local deployment, running through Docker Compose. By default, only OpenAI and Diffbot are enabled since Gemini requires extra GCP configurations. In your root folder, create a .env file with your OpenAI and Diffbot keys if you want to use both. OpenAI API key your OpenAI key, Diffbot API key your Diffbot key. If you only want OpenAI, LLM models Diffbot, OpenAI GPT 3.5, OpenAI GPT 4.0, OpenAI API key your OpenAI key. If you only want Diffbot, LLM models Diffbot API key your Diffbot key. You can then run Docker Compose to build and start all components. Docker Compose up. Additional configs. By default, the input sources will be local files, YouTube, Wikipedia, AWS S3, and web pages. As this default config is applied, React App sources local, YouTube, Wiki, S3, web. If, however, you want the Google GCS integration, add GCS in your Google Client ID. React App sources equals local, YouTube, Wiki, S3, GCS, web. Google Client ID equals XXXX. You can, of course, combine all, local, YouTube, Wikipedia, S3, and GCS, or remove any you don't need. Chat modes. By default, all of the chat modes will be available. Vector, vector, and graph. If none of the mode is mentioned in the chat modes variable, all modes will be available. If, however, you want to specify the only vector mode or only graph mode, you can do that by specifying the mode in the env. Chat modes, vector, graph plus vector. Running backend and frontend separately, dev environment. Alternatively, you can run the backend and frontend separately. For the frontend, create the frontend.env file by copy-pasting the frontend example.env. Change values as needed. cd frontend yarn run dev. For the backend, create the backend/env file by copy-pasting the backend example.env. Change values as needed. cd backend python-m venv endname source envname bin/ben activate pip install nsr requirements.txt uvicorn score app-reload. Deploy in cloud. To deploy the app and packages on Google Cloud Platform, run the following command on Google Cloud Run. Frontend deploy gcloud run deploy source location current directory frontend region 32 US Central 1. Allow unauthenticated request. Yes, backend deploy gcloud run deploy -set n-vars OpenAI API key equals set nv vars diffbot API key equals set n vars neo4j URI equals neo4j password equals neo4j username equals source location current directory backend region 30 US Central 1. Allow unauthenticated request. Yes. env, n variable name mandatory optional default value description, OpenAI API key mandatory API key for OpenAI, Diffbot API key